Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, stimulus package update, daily news, everything going on here in our country and in Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos. And if you find these videos helpful, don't forget to hit the like button for us down below. We got a lot going on here, so let's jump right in. We got a lot going on with the new stimulus package, a lot of changes going on here as they're going to add new things into the stimulus package and going on here in our country. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, who's worth around $250 billion, the founder of Tesla electric car company, the founder of SpaceX, and the founder of PayPal, is considering selling $6 billion to fight world hunger on one condition: if it could actually solve the world hunger problem. As you can see here, he's vowing to sell Tesla stock or Tesla shares if the United Nations can explain how that would actually solve the world hunger problem. David Beasley, director of the UN World Food Program, says, quote, "The world needs to wake up. We've got a global humanitarian crisis on our hands that is spiraling out of control. 42 million people in 43 countries face famine now. All we need is $6.6 billion, just 0.36% of the top 400 U.S. billionaires' net worth increase last year. Is that too much to ask?" So he says that just $6.6 billion is all that is needed to potentially solve world hunger. That would only be 2% of Elon Musk's net worth. But yet, in 2020, the UN World Food Program raised $8.4 billion. So Dr. Eli David says, how come it didn't solve the world hunger problem if in 2020 the UN World Food Program raised $8.4 billion just in 2020 alone, and yet they say they only need $6 billion to solve the world hunger? Does kind of raise some questions. Elon Musk responded back, says, if the World Food Program if the WFP can describe on Twitter thread exactly how $6 billion can solve world hunger, I will sell Tesla stock right now and do it. He says, but it must be open source accounting so the public can see precisely how the money is spent. David Beasley responded, I can assure you that we have the systems in place for transparency and open source accounting. Your team can review and work with us to be totally confident of such. President Biden denies the plan to pay separated migrant families up to $450,000 per family, despite lawsuits against the Biden administration. These lawsuits go back from when they were separated underneath the Trump administration. President Biden denies the plan to pay these families up to $450,000. Remember that these come from lawsuits where they're actually suing for over $3 million each. Biden denies this. Check this out, or denies the plan to pay them, at least. President Biden on Wednesday denied his administration is considering paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to each migrant separated from their family under the Trump administration's zero-tolerance border policy. Quote, that's not gonna happen, Biden told reporters when asked about the reported plan. The Wall Street Journal first reported last week that the administration was contemplating a payment of roughly $450,000 per person for separated migrant parents and children. Multiple news outlets later confirmed the journal's reporting. Biden says, quote, that's not gonna happen. The potential payments would come as the government faces numerous lawsuits from families separated under the Trump administration policy, which saw thousands of children taken away from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border. Fox News correspondent Peter Doocy asked Biden on Wednesday if the payments could encourage migrants to flock to the U.S. Biden says, if you guys keep sending that garbage out, yeah, but it's not true. End quote. The American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, in a statement argued that Biden would be turning his back on a core campaign promise to provide a measure of justice for those separated under the Trump policy, saying, quote, President Biden may not have been fully briefed about the actions of his very own Justice Department as it carefully deliberated and considered the crimes committed against thousands of families separated from their children as an intentional government policy. ACLU Executive Director Anthony Romero said in a statement urging Biden to right the wrongs of this national tragedy. However, legal experts told the Washington Post that settling with the families could prove less costly than allowing the cases to play out in court, where more details about the government's harsh treatments of migrants could emerge, and the legal cost of lawyers and the proceedings could be millions and millions of dollars. Let me know your thoughts on this. This has been a big news story. A lot of people don't even realize that the potential $450,000 are a potential settlement in lawsuit cases. The migrants are suing the government from the past Trump administration when they were separated, and the government, the current government, which just happens to be the Biden administration, is thinking about settling the cases. The average lawsuit amount is $3 million, and I guess they were thinking about settling the cases for $450,000. As you just read there on the screen with me, that if they don't settle it, it actually could cost more than $450,000. Of course, they could actually get away with winning the case and paying nothing. But even if they pay nothing, it's still going to cost probably millions of dollars in court fees, lawyer fees, miscellaneous fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, it's a disaster either way. Can't make this stuff up, guys. It's really just a complete disaster. I'll keep you up to date on this. Biden says he's denying that they want to pay it. So, but remember, they're lawsuits. So either way, it's going to play out one way or another. So let me know your thoughts on this. So it's not just like they can just say, we're not going to pay you anything. If they say they're going to pay nothing, it'll go through the lawsuit process, and there'll be a judge and juries and that type of process. So I think a lot of people would like to see that happen. If that does happen, and say judges and juries decide to award the migrants nothing, it still would probably end up costing the U.S. government many millions of dollars just from lawyers and law, the fees and all that type of stuff, which is, it's an unfortunate situation all around, to be honest. It's just one of those things that I don't think anybody is happy about. There's a lot going on with the next stimulus package, the American Families Plan, and the physical infrastructure package. In the last 24 hours or so, there's been major changes to the stimulus package. Number one, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has announced a deal on lowering prescription drug pricing, a key obstacle to the mega bill, which was not even in there. It's going to significantly lower the cost on prescription drug pricing. The one specific thing he mentioned was that the cost of insulin would go from $600 to $35, a drastic reduction. And it's going to lower the cost of prescription drug pricing for tens of millions of people. Just 24 hours ago, that was not in the bill. Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced that the paid family and medical leave will be put back into the bill as well. And apparently, Joe Manchin wasn't even aware of this. Here's kind of what happened when Senator Joe Manchin was made aware of this. Check this out.
NBC's Ali Vitale on the Hill just spent some time peppering the senator there with questions. And let's start with what Senator Manchin told you about paid leave and whether that was going to be a deal breaker. It seemed as if he was hearing it from you for the first time, that it was going back in the bill.
Yeah, he was, because if you remember, Craig, yesterday we were talking about paid leave from the perspective, to borrow a phrase from the Princess Bride, as a mostly dead policy in these reconciliation negotiations. Advocates who I had been talking to, as well as Democratic lawmakers who were supportive of it, did not think it was going to find a place in this larger social spending package. Just in the last few minutes, we heard from Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who said that 4 weeks of paid family and sick medical leave are now back in this bill. But we just broke that news, it seemed, to Senator Joe Manchin, who repeated what he has said before, which is that he has concerns about recreating and bolstering social programs when ones that already exist remain insolvent. Specifically with this, though, he also seems to have another objection of putting it in the reconciliation bill, period. He said just now that he has spoken to people like Republican Senator Susan Collins about doing something bipartisan on this issue. Certainly, there are Democrats who would want to do that. But at the same time, many of them say that now is the time to do something on paid leave and that they want to see it in this larger social spending package. So right now, there is a disagreement in terms of what's in this bill. If you talk to House Democrats, they've got paid leave in theirs. And if you talk to people like Senator Joe Manchin, who is a key voice on this and who they need in order to actually keep it in, he's not for it, at least at this point. What he continued to reiterate there was that he wants to take the time to do this right. While some Democrats think that they should have voted on both of these bills already, Manchin is someone who has long said that he wants Democrats in the House to vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill and that he's not in any rush to move forward on this larger social spending package because of reasons that he mentioned just now that our viewers may have heard. Things like wanting to see how this larger piece of legislation is scored and the future financial impacts of it. And he also wants to see more time spent as they do things like overhaul parts of the tax code. Those are Manchin's concerns. They remain consistent. But at the same time, there is a big motivation here among Democrats to finally get this done. And in the House, it does seem, and we heard this from Speaker Nancy Pelosi today against the backdrop of both the election results this morning, but then also against the backdrop of these changing pieces of policy, they're forging ahead in the House. The Rules Committee is going to meet. They're going to have new text to consider that includes things like paid leave, but also the prescription drug pricing deal that they came to yesterday in the Senate. Those things are now headed to the Rules Committee in the House so that they can forge ahead on this because, again, it's got to be through the Rules Committee in order to make it to the full House floor. Pelosi clearly still on that path, but there are clear disagreements here that have to be resolved.
Ali, really quickly here, what did the senator from West Virginia have to say about what happened in New Jersey and Virginia with regards to the election?
He underscored the fact that this is a divided country. He said that he has concerns about things like inflation, families going to the grocery stores, not being able to afford the things that they need. He has said this in the context of the social spending package negotiations, but certainly this is something that he's now looking at anew in light of the results that we saw last night. And I thought it was interesting. There are some Democrats here who say that this underscores for them the need for Democrats to push forward on kitchen table issues like prescription drug pricing, like bolstering child care for American families who are trying to build out of this recession and out of the pandemic. At the same time, though, there are just as many Democrats who are going to take away something slightly different from this, which is that this package needs to be scaled back, that there are real economic concerns for Americans that can be evidenced by the results in places like Virginia and New Jersey. It was interesting. One other reporter here asked, do they think the Biden administration is hearing that message? They asked Manchin that, and Manchin just said, I hope so.
Yeah, another thing that would really help people with inflation and with their bills and with the struggle right now is to include a stimulus check in addition, or a stimulus check for adults right now, in addition to the monthly checks for children. And we have a lot of groups pushing to have a $1,400 check added for adults right now. So remember, email, call, tweet your representatives, Bernie Sanders, Joe Manchin, Chuck Schumer, email them, tweet them, call them and say, hey, we need a $1,400 stimulus check in there for adults, in addition to the monthly checks called the child tax credits that are in the package right now. They're going to extend those monthly checks called the child tax credits for 1 year, $250 per month for children ages 6 through 17, and $300 per month for children under 5 and under, for a total of $3,600 for children 5 and under, and for children ages 6 through 17, a total of $3,000. So those are going to be extended for 1 more year. And there's a lot of other saving measures like the prescription drug pricing measure that was literally just added in yesterday, the paid family and medical leave, where if you go to have a baby or if you have an illness, like you catch the virus, or if you have to care for somebody that has the virus, that was just added in today, they will pay for up to 4 weeks of your job or percentage of your job, depending on how much money you make. The government will literally pay for a portion of your salary. So that was not even in the package as of yesterday. Also childcare. So many families pay 20 or 30% or more of your childcare of their salary. So if mom and dad both go to work and they send their children to childcare, a lot of families pay 20 or 30% or more of their income to childcare. And it's extremely expensive. We just seen Chuck Schumer yesterday say that the average family pays over $10,000 a year in childcare. And we had Representative Ayanna Pressley say that in her state, the average person pays $21,000 a year in childcare. That's going to be significantly cut in this package. to a maximum family can only pay 7% of their income in childcare. So yeah, there's a lot of different things in here. They're building $150 billion in affordable housing. $25 billion of that is going to go out in direct payments to the people in rent assistance. And there's rent assistance available right now. I have a link for you guys in the description of this video on how to apply for rent assistance. And I'll link you to it at the end of this video. We've had literally thousands of our viewers get 3 months, 6 months, even 12 months of rent assistance, where the government will literally pay your rent up to 12 months of rent from the third stimulus check package. And there's going to be even more of that available. So if you've gotten it in the past, you can get it again. If you haven't applied yet, you probably want to apply. If you're low income, or if you've been on unemployment, or if you're behind on rent, each state has a little bit different qualifications, but you can literally get up to 12 months of your rent paid, and all 50 states have it available right now. It takes about an hour to apply. It's completely free to apply, and I have a video literally showing you how to do that. There's a lot of different stimulus programs like this, and this next stimulus package may even have more things like this as well. Here is President Biden talking about Joe Manchin for this next stimulus package and his vote. Check this out.
Mr. President, you're touting on this visit your $1.75 trillion plan that includes climate, but your party is still not united behind it. Senator Joe Manchin yesterday called it budget gimmicks, shell games, and a recipe for economic crisis. Today he said he never signed off on the framework. So do you have a specific commitment from Senator Manchin to support your Build Back Better bill, yes or no, and how do you respond to those criticisms? And I have a follow-up.
Number one, I'm not going to talk about the specifics of my conversations. He will vote for this if we have in this proposal what he has anticipated, and that is looking at the fine print and the detail of what comes out of the House in terms of the actual legislative initiative. I believe that Joe will be there. With regard to the issue of whether or not he thinks that he's worried about this being inflationary or going to be a negative impact on the economy, I think that I've made it clear to Joe, and will continue to, and we will, that as I've apologized and repeated, Peter, but 17 Nobel laureates on economics said it's going to lower inflation, raise wages, increase competition, create 2 million jobs a year, et cetera. And so I think that I understand that Joe is looking for the precise detail to make sure nothing got slipped in terms of the way in which the legislation got written that is different than he acknowledged he would agree to. But I think we'll get this done.
So the president says that Joe Manchin will vote yes for this package. He thinks he's going to vote yes for this package, and all he wants to do is make sure that the package is everything it's supposed to be. And again, he wants to see it in writing. He wants to have the Congressional Budget Office score it, basically do the math on the package, and make sure that nothing is slipped in and nobody's pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. Make sure the package is fully paid for, which the Democrats are saying that the $1.75 trillion package, which could be a little bit more at this point because they're adding a few things in there, the paid family medical leave now, and the prescription drug pricing is actually a less than $0 cost. It's actually a package that has a negative cost. It actually saves the government money. So that package, instead of costing money, it actually has a negative cost. It actually would save the government hundreds of billions of dollars. So because the government buys prescriptions through the Medicare and Medicaid program, so it actually would cost like negative hundreds of billions of dollars. So they could actually theoretically remove some of the other tax hikes. So they could actually theoretically remove some of the other tax hikes if they wanted to, because what they're probably going to do is maybe pay for it and maybe pay for the package a little bit more. But my guess is they're not going to want to pay for the package overly too much at the end of the day. So when all is said and done, they'll probably pay for the package and then pay for maybe a little bit more or something like that. But they're probably not going to want to pay for the package way too much. They'll probably maybe take out some things at the end of the day and save it for the next stimulus package. Remember, that this package is basically a half package. They're just agreeing on everything that they can agree on now. And President Biden has confirmed that there will be another stimulus package right after this one. Because remember that this package was supposed to be $3.5 trillion, and it's now just $1.75 trillion, which is exactly half, or it's going to be somewhere around there, right? And so they're going to pass this $1.75 trillion. Then they're going to pass the physical infrastructure package, and then they're going to come back around for the other 1.75 trillion and start on that right after. So, and that makes sense. Like, hey, let's just pass what we can agree on right now. Get that done, get that out the door, get everything out the door that we can right now. And then we'll come back around afterwards and start working on the next package. So at least we get this half out the door right now, and make sure the child tax credits don't stop on December 15th, because that's when the last payment would stop if they don't pass the package before then, which is literally next month. And we got to raise the debt limits by December 3rd and the government shutdown by December 3rd. So we have to do all that stuff here. So it kind of makes sense to just pass what we can agree on right now. Then we'll come back for a round for the second half and add in all sorts of other stuff like in that package, maybe a big Social Security raise. They just announced 2 big bill proposals to raise Social Security benefits by a large amount, in addition to the 5.9% cost of living adjustment for Social Security. This would be in addition to that, raise the Social Security benefits by several $100s per month. I just did a big video on that. You can watch on that, and possibly a monthly stimulus check for adults. Maybe something similar to the child tax credit that has monthly checks for children, maybe doing something like that for low income adults or something as well. So I'll keep you up to date here on everything, but there will be another stimulus package for the other half of that after this package. So I'll keep you up to date on everything. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new videos. After subscribing, you can click the bell icon to get notifications, and click it to all notifications to get reminder notifications. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. This bottom video is how to get rent assistance up to 12 months of your rent paid. And this video is that video about 2 new Social Security proposals to raise Social Security benefits by a significant amount per month. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.